May I say comradely greetings, and may I also say grace and peace to you, sir. I say good afternoon, and I want to say upfront thank you for trying your best during this trying time. I can imagine how difficult it is to be the president of the country during this time. And I know that you have other important things that you can think of that you need to deal with, especially in particular around the pandemic. But I want to join the voices that say change management. Minister of Arts and Culture, can he be excused, please? Can you please, it is a humanitarian call, it is a humanitarian plight from us, from the sector, the arts and culture sector, the creative and cultural sector, that we need help. Some of us don't have food, some of us don't have medication, and some of us have got chronic disease that need us to take medication daily. Because we are not considered employees in this country, we are not workers in this country, but permanent casual workers. We do not have salaries, we do not have basic social security, we do not have basic benefits that other workers are enjoying in the country. Issues of medical aid and UIFs and that, we don't have that because we are not workers, we are not regarded as workers. And we are the most hard-hit sector, as you know that with lockdowns, we have no events that are happening, no gatherings that are happening. Now we cannot perform, we cannot do anything. If I were to do an event and be expected to have 50 people in the event, it means that I will do that event at a loss. I won't be able to recoup even the costs of putting up that event. Now, there is a call, which is a very genuine call to say, Minister Nathi Mthethwa must go. And there is nothing personal about it. We know it is clear that he has failed us. He's failing. He's not able to cope with the sector. And not only is failing us, but he's also failing the movement, because we will look at the ANC having failed us, not him alone. And therefore we are saying, if a company is running itself at a loss, it will often go through change management and looking for people who are capable of changing the strategies and coming up with strategic ways of succeeding. You are the ultimate power and the ultimate authority in the land. And Minister Nathi is failing you. Not only you, as I said, that he's also failing the movement, as he has failed us. Not just once, not twice, not thrice, many a times, in many things. And the relief fund, we know that it is not forthcoming. Those that have received it, they are very fortunate. I must say that they are very fortunate. Because my understanding with the relief fund, it shouldn't be something that is only for certain people who qualify. Because this is a matter of life and death. It's a matter of survival. We are encouraged to wear our masks, to use sanitizers, to sanitize everything that we use. We are encouraged to wash our hands because we have to survive. We have to live beyond the pandemic. We have to prevent deaths from the pandemic. But whilst we are preventing deaths from the pandemic, we are not preventing deaths from hunger. People might die of hunger. Primarily, this sector has people who are very, very shy to speak and express their needs, especially where it would put them as or make them look like they don't have. And I know for fact that they don't have at this time. This is one sector that has been under lockdown for more than 8 months. And you can imagine there are no salaries in this sector. You only earn per event that you do, per call that you do. And I am pleading with you, as the president of the country, I am pleading with you that please help us, save us. Minister Nati doesn't know what he has to do. He has proven that beyond any reasonable doubt that he is not clued up with what he has to do. I mean, there's no one in his senses who would say there's anything that is normal, that is functioning, that is well in our sector at the moment. Everybody knows that our sector, it is strictly under lockdown. It is one sector that is not functioning at all. Even during level 1, it was impossible because we couldn't go and do events at stadiums. But also, as I said, that you see the issue of the relief fund, it cannot be for those who qualify, because even that criteria shows that he doesn't understand the sector, how the sector works. This sector has got individuals who are using pseudonyms, who don't have bank accounts under those pseudonyms, who are not legal personnel. Those pseudonyms do not have the legal stand to be having tax clearances or bank accounts or anything. People are using their own personal bank accounts, but they go on stage as known as, trading as. So for one to be getting people and paying people to sit and educate, it is a systematic exclusion of those. The informal settlements are excluded in the process, and everybody deserves to live. Life is a right for everybody, not a right for the privileged ones. Those that have tax clearances and companies that are registered and shows that they were booked for are those that are formally registered. It means that they are privileged. It should tell you that the most people who would benefit from this, it is the very same people that are coming from the previously privileged communities as opposed to the previously disadvantaged communities. So the playing field is not leveled, and I say if somebody had to deal with this situation, it would be like your social development, because all you need to do is to collect the database of people who are in the sector, who are active in the sector, and then say this money should then be spread evenly to everybody and not the privileged ones who can read and write English and write good proposals and write and provide financial statements or bank statements and provide. There are people who don't even know their bank accounts have become dormant because they haven't been utilizing their bank accounts. It has been on cash basis. They go to a club and perform and get paid and distribute money amongst themselves and share the money amongst themselves. There are no financial statements from that. There are no accountants. They cannot even afford to have an accountant to do what they need, what they have to do to comply with the laws, or to comply as companies or whatever or traders in SA. So I am pleading with you, and I'm joining heavily on this and supporting that call for the minister to go. And I'm saying it is nothing personal, but it is just saying he is not capable. He's not clued up, he's not capable, and he's not prepared to learn. He's not prepared to surround himself with people who would assist him and advise him and make him look good. So that's it. Even Julius Malema has joined the voices. And I want to say thank you, Julius Malema. Out of all the political parties, it has been EFF after ANC that has been concerned about artists, that has been talking about issues. But unfortunately with ANC, it talks to the sector and then it deploys somebody who doesn't even follow the mandate or follow the manifesto of the organization. Because transformation should be number one. And this sector has not moved an inch in terms of transformation. This sector, it is mostly in Johannesburg. And people are coming from all other provinces, flocking into the migration of workers from other provinces into Gauteng. Meaning that their homes are not here. So they have to rent places. And now if they are not working, it means that they will be thrown out of their places because they cannot pay the rent. And even if they are not thrown out of their places because of the understanding that it is during COVID, everybody is challenged. By the time COVID is over, they'll be indebted so much to the owners of those places. They would have to work first to pay the outstanding, the pending balances from that, and it sets us very much backwards, and I'm saying it cannot be. This is a humanitarian call. It is a humanitarian plea. Everyone wants to survive COVID, and everyone wants to survive and have life and have it abundantly. As God has given us life, God says we must have life. The Constitution of this country enshrines the right to life, right to dignity, but we don't have that dignity at the moment. Others, our children, have been taken out of schools because people are not paying, so they can't afford to take their children back to school. And we have a relief fund that is not even transparent. We don't know what happened to the money. Okay. So we are asking, we are pleading with you, Mr. President, change management. Change management. He doesn't really understand what he has to do, and there's nothing personal about it. He has to allow somebody else to come, because this is denting even the organization's reputation, because we are seen as people who deploy people who don't know anything, don't know what to do. And the worst is that people that we have deployed don't even know how to translate our own mandate, our own manifesto into practical programs that will respond to our manifesto. We don't see anything happening with the rural development in terms of arts and culture. People are still migrating from their provinces coming to Joburg. Jim, come to Joburg. We have all the departments of arts and culture in provinces, as there's only one province that has done wonderfully so. It is the KZN, because it has established an industry. Even though it is music industry, it has established music industry. People from KZN don't need to come to Joburg in order to do their music, to pursue their careers in music. And they are doing a lot. In fact, they've done a lot. There's a lot. I'm just mentioning music because it's one sector that is very active and very prominent. It's significant. I mean, it's there. It's prominent. You have the DJ Tiras and them, and you know, people who are. But even though during this COVID-19, provinces have suffered with all the departments in the provinces, it's sad. We don't have a program that focuses on women. Many women in this sector, they still have to open their legs in order to access the industry. And that is a shame after 25 years, post-1994, that we still have a situation that says this industry is predominantly dominated by males. And if you see women coming in, they have to come through unfortunately they have to come through situations that are not pleasing, that are not bestowing or restoring their dignity. There are those that have made it on their own, yes, thank you, and we congratulate them, we cherish them. But there are those, many of our women in the sector had to pay in some kind, pay in kind to access the industry, which is a shame. And you talk of youth empowerment. What is happening with the youth in the sector? Very funny that during that time, earlier times, we had them Sawawas and them. Where are them Sawawas today? We don't have young people who are making it in the industry unless they make it through the social media. We have Jerusalem that made it on its own and then becomes an ambassador. It is a shame. We need to be promoting, instead of us promoting our own products and services and exporting this product. Instead, we are importing. People are inviting the Beyoncés, people are inviting the Jay-Z's, people are inviting all these foreign artists who come and take exorbitant amounts of money from the sector. I mean, from South Africa outside. The media, airwaves, is playing foreign content, so the money goes out of the country. And we have the ministers who are there that could be sitting and saying, but how can we deal with this issue and preserve and retain ours? How can we find ways of promoting ours outside the country? So I'm saying, just mentioning some of the things that you can see that they require a political intervention, just like, for instance, the issue of intellectual property, the rights that were taken from us because we were naive and ignorant and coming from Bantu education, and we could not speak English, and we were desperate to sign the contracts because we wanted to be famous, we wanted to see our music on radio and not lose the opportunity. So we ended up signing our rights away. Post 1994, that process should have been nullified, like in other sectors where it should have said all contracts that were signed before this particular year and they must be nullified, so that people are relieved. We have our intellectual property. Others have their own intellectual property owned outside the country. The Soweto Gospel Choir is owned outside the country. And some of the productions that you can think of, they are owned outside the country. And we have now, as a country, as government, as political organization, you've been talking issue of what is this equivalent to the title deed. You have your land expropriation without compensation, because people were robbed their land. That is exactly the same way that we could apply the same approach and say expropriation of copyright, of intellectual property rights back to the real owners, and let real owners renegotiate with the businesses, the users of the music, to say, or whatever that intellectual property that they have, to say that you can use I'm fine with you using my works, but for a particular period of time. And unfortunately, the Copyright and Performance Amendment Bill has been stalled. And anyway, it wasn't addressing that issue anyway. It was only still empowering those that own, because if we don't take ownership back, even if you can better the Performance and Copyright Act, the laws around copyright, they will still benefit those that own, who have arbitrarily owned, removed, the forced removal of rights from the real owners. It's political. All these things are political, and we have dialogued about these things early 1994 when we started dealing with the issues of the transition, getting into the new dispensation. But here's the sector that has been there. Nothing has happened. People are still signing contracts that are written in English when we have 11 official languages. People are still signing contracts that they don't understand, giving away their rights. And we know that they have been disadvantaged by the education that they got before 1994. And still, they are still disadvantaged. People are given royalties that they aren't able to read the statements to interpret what this money that they are paid, what it is for. They don't know what it is for. They just appreciate getting 300 rands. I got 117 rands, President. In December, just 2 days before Christmas, I got 117 rands with all the hits that are under my name. With all the hits since from 1994, Trumpis has been making hits after hits, but I get 117. So somebody who has done one song, it means that they get 0.17. I don't know what is it. Not 17 cent. So it is something that I am passionately ready also to dialogue, to discuss, to debate these issues, but it requires somebody with the political willingness who would say, what are the challenges here? What was previous? What led to these challenges? If these challenges, they emanate from that era of the apartheid system, let them be resolved. We have the Babsimlangenis today, and God forbid, I pray every day that that man should not pass away before something happens, because these are the people who made these major record companies that are standing and dominating and monopolizing the industry. They were made by these people like Abu Babu Babsimlange. They carried these companies on their shoulders with their songs, with their works. And they were exploited. We know that they were exploited because they were Africans. They were black. They were exploited because of their color. And that is why we have a situation where you don't hear anything, Mr. President, about a white artist or a white actor dying poor in South Africa. It is only black artists and actors and celebrities who die poor. And you ask why. You don't hear anything. You don't see white artists going around and toying and saying that they want their music to be played on radio. They don't even care, and they have less programs that play their music. But the best-selling album always comes from the Afrikaans music. It requires a political dialogue. And our minister is not able to dialogue that. He's more of a historian more than anything. So I think, with all due respect, he's not for this sector. So we are requesting. People are leaving their home states, their provinces, coming to Joburg. Jim come to Joburg, and they end up sleeping in the streets. Ladies going and at night they go and prostitute because they have to get a place to sleep and money for food. Whilst in search of a dream, this is not the dream that Martin Luther King spoke about. This is not the dream that Abotatu Albert Luthuli, Abotatu O.R. Tambo, Abotatu Madiba dreamed about. This is not the dream. You can't search the dream and have to sell your body in order to access to anything in this country has been a constitutional issue. It is part of the Constitution that everyone should have equal access to the resources. Everyone should have equal access to means. Yet we know that means to production are still in the hands of the few. Even though young people have got studios in their homes today, but we know that those that would be regarded as studios that produce quality are in the hands of the few. And there's a cartel that has been actually formed by the selected few who own these studios, home studios that are quality studios, and only doing music for production companies, because production companies are owned by white people, so they only appoint content generators, content producers who are white, who have white studios. Even advertisers, they get white production companies to do their adverts, and the white production companies will get the white person who's got a studio. The white person will only get an African to come and sing, cheap labor, to come and sing and be paid for singing for a session fee. That's the very same. If you go into Sambro and say, Sambro, please show me your top 10 high earners or top 20 high earners, it is only white people who do music for production companies, for ads, even songs that are in Venek. Dakalani Sesame, it is a white person who did that song, but it is sung in Venek. So he employed, or he booked, or he got session artists to come and sing Dakalani Sesame, because he can't sing in Zulu or in whatever language it is. But that's the highest earner when it comes to royalties. And most of us who've made this country to dance, made this country who daily entertain this country, we get peanuts. It requires a political dialogue, and our minister is not able to facilitate that. So get us somebody else who will be humble enough and not be a celebrity, not arrogant, to converse, to talk to people, have a dialogue, open a dialogue, and say, if we want to transform this particular side. I mean, I'm talking about decentralization of the industry. Why is the industry still in Johannesburg after 25 years? And not decentralized when we have Department of Arts and Culture, Sports Arts and Culture in all provinces? Why are still people migrating from their provinces coming to Joburg to fight for crumbs that are falling from the master's table? We can't have a situation like that, and that is why I am pleading with you, and I am pleading with you, I am humbling myself before you. It is a humanitarian call. Let everyone who is in the sector access the relief fund, Mr. President. The relief fund is not a payment to anyone. It is an assistance so that one can be able to have essential needs, must be able to buy sanitizer, one must be able to buy food. We need food every day. We eat food every day. We don't eat food once after 6 months. Just like our royalties, they come once after 6 months. So we must wait and die for 5 months and then rise again when it is time for royalties. That should come to an end. Everybody should be able to earn a living wage. And to us, a living wage is not royalties that come after 6 months. And if that is not it is not transformed, that it is not dealt with, it still resembles the old system that was used by the apartheid government. We still under, even the laws that we are amending, they come from that era, so they were meant to be like that. We have monopoly of the sector industry, we have broadcasters, we have that are not reflective of, we have SABC, it's not reflective of being a national broadcaster. It is struggling when it is supposed to be the most successful, because it is a national station that's supposed to be getting funding from government, so that it is not dictated to by those who pay for adverts. By those who pay for adverts, which we know that those that pay for adverts is big companies, and big companies in this country are still owned by white people. We know the economy is still in white hands. Black people are not using black people for advertising and what. And yet, which is the funniest part of it, is that Our music is the one that is used in the adverts, yet when we had 90% at SABC, they said that our music is not attracting advertisers. Yet the very same advertisers who bring content to advertise on at SABC, you can go and check it out. They are now using Mapiano, they were using Kwaito, they always use local music. They don't use Michael Jackson's music, or may his soul rest in peace. They don't use American artists because they are costly. Their music is costly and they would have to really negotiate with those. But with us, we are being exploited left and right. They want to use our music, they want to pay us 3,000 rand each. They use us for their adverts. All Star comes in and says, no, you guys have promoted All Star for so many years. We did our research and you guys seem to be synonymous with All Star and Sporty. Can you do it? And then yes, when we do it, they pay us far less than what they would have paid the American artist or the American actor who is doing the same thing, promoting also on their videos, promoting All Star, because it's an American-made product. All Star is not a South African product, it's an American-made product. So there's a lot that needs to be dealt, and I mean, I can sit here and list so many things that needs to be dealt with, and you can see our minister is not close to that. Doesn't even talk about those except issuing statements of condolences and congratulating those that have achieved without the assistance of the department. The department has been supporting a program called Medium for over 20 years. It has been supporting that program. And I say it is idiotic to support a program and not be able to say, let us do a stock taking, post-mortem. Let us look at, after 5 years, how much of our people have benefited from that program. Who has been made out of that program? What deals have been clinched through that program as a medium, or is it just a holiday for officials, department's officials? And instead of it benefiting the people from previously disadvantaged, it benefits the very same people who are from the very big companies that are owned outside the country. We have the very owned companies, big companies that are owned from outside the country. When they operate outside the country, when they operate in the countries where they come from, they pay their own people 1,000%. But when they come and operate in our country, our people are indebted to these companies. So it can't be forever. It requires a political dialogue. It requires a political willingness. It requires somebody who would be very radical like Mbalula and say, kicking or screaming, we are going to transform this. Our people must own a particular quota. Must have ownership of these companies, a particular percentage of these companies. They can't operate from outside and come to South Africa and operate 100% ownership, still owned foreignly. And then they push their own agenda, pushing their own music. It's the very same companies that pushed out local content out of SABC. Because for them, Jay-Z makes more money than any other artist in South Africa, so why should Jay-Z be played less than others? Because as South Africans, we also buy millions and millions of copies of American music and European music. We buy their music. That is why they can sell 3 million, 30 million copies. But when it comes to our local artists, only Brenda Fassie got to 500,000 units. No one goes beyond that. except Lucky Dube, who sold, obviously because he was selling globally, he was released globally. And we have not done anything to honor that man that we lost unceremoniously. So we lost untimely. We haven't honored him. Well, it's not that. I wasn't on that issue. If I want to talk about the sector, I can talk the whole day about the sector, but I am just adding my voice and my plea, my plight on behalf of those that are quiet, the amakwala, tuli, lahleze makaya lambile, aloke shuti tombe, ku Instagram, ngikhulumela wona lawo makwala lawo ukuthi sincede ba. Sincede nangendaba ye relief fund. We are now on third or fourth lockdown. We haven't received a cent. People keep on saying now they are going to open the call for what? There's no need for a call if from the beginning these people had done their own groundwork by collecting data of all the people. It would be easy to distribute. They will just say, oh, there's another lockdown, release, and it goes to everybody, as opposed to having a group of people who are bearing their own interests, self-interest. When they are sitting there looking after their own interest and their friends. Fellow President of the Republic of South Africa. Imopali, Mtakamthetho Jobe, Dingswai, Mfolo Zomnyama Ketabawelai, Hlanga Leswe, Ikhulisa Nkosi. Impela o Minister nathi Mthetho wakithi ngesibongo. Igazi lami. Kodwa, that's why I'm saying there's nothing personal. There's nothing personal. He is not for the sector. Thank you very much, and I hope uzawuzwela Nkosi yami. Ningaloke nikhiphani issue sama statements ukuthi nangu Jonas Gwangwa uhambile, and Jonas Gwangwa contributed a lot towards the struggle of this country. Contributed a lot, but he died, having not benefited much from our own. It was not even recording, and yet this department owns a studio, Downtown Studios, one of the biggest studios that this country has ever had. It is a Downtown Studios that could have just run a program for all these artists, ABBA record alive, who cannot go into and record their music in Makaya with computer, they record live. Could have run a program with those. And I said, please give it to me. Give me that Downtown studio and I will show you how to utilize that studio. I was ignored. In fact, I wrote the document that gave rise to that studio with Opalebo during Iskata Palo Jordan. Dr. Palo Jordan. We wrote the document, the business concept. But before we could finish, I was unceremoniously removed from the process because there was that agenda Sepulukwane 2007. So I am pleading. Njengoba sengishilo ke nisale kahle. Sanibonani nijoinile. Oh, thank you very much for all of you. To all of you that have joined, and I hope you will support us. Continue supporting us.